I'm here with John Ramdeen and Robin Black to go through all of today's news items. We start off with a very serious one in the case of BJ Penn. A story was made public earlier this week from a former writer at bjpenn.com making allegations that there was a sexual assault committed by BJ Penn. These are only allegations at this point, but charges have been filed, rather, according to Jeremy Botter, who reported that. And the UFC came out with a statement on Thursday acknowledging the severity of these charges and also the fact that they will be postponing booking BJ Penn. He was targeted for an April 23rd fight at the UFC 197 card and awaiting this investigation to play itself out and go from there, essentially. But there are allegations at this point, but clearly there is concern on the UFC's part and not wanting to put him into a fight at this point.
Yeah, great job by the UFC because they're standing behind BJ Penn. They said until we understand the details of what's going on, we're going to put his return to the UFC on hold and just figure things out. The writer that you're talking about apparently was a writer that used to write for BJ Penn, who was fired a number of months ago, and there's some people saying that this guy's credibility should be taken into question. However, the charges are serious charges, so we'll have to see how things play out over the next number of months.
Those two things are not mutually exclusive. There can be very serious charges, and you can question someone's credibility. You know, there's the public news, which is the UFC said, here's what's happening and here's what we have to do. And I think they handled that pretty well. Yeah, like you said, they're on, making sure not to overstep what the deal is with BJ. But at the same time, it's serious. But then there's the under the public news. You know, if I was going to make a serious allegation towards one of you guys, I don't know that I'm going out on message boards all over the place, telling and retelling stories and lobbing other accusations, lobbing accusations. Rammer smokes pot all the time. Rammer does smoke pot all the time. Things like that, you know, that is credibility damaging. If you go in, you found out something very serious happened to your wife, Rammer, I know what you would do. First, maybe that guy'd be in a lot of trouble. But you would go to the police, you would deal with it, you wouldn't be probably freaking out on message boards. That kind of stuff makes it strange. I think the UFC, taking into account its seriousness and its weirdness with all that extra stuff, handled it really well.
Yeah, and I think the authorities are now going to take care of this and look into this case and find out what the merit is. As we move on, there's no natural segue from a topic like that, but Conor McGregor was interviewed by Severe MMA in Ireland ahead of his fight with Rafael dos Anjos coming up on March the 5th. First of all, I know that McGregor, in the interview, he talks about going for this title, then he's going to go for the next title, alluding to a welterweight title fight, and the sheer size of Conor McGregor in this video. I mean, this is a guy that looks bulked up, and many credible people out there are looking at maybe Conor's days at 145 are done. This could be it for him, ever fighting at featherweight again. I mean, he has some lofty goals for 2016. He's citing UFC 200 as his next destination, and then getting in another fight before the end of the year. But also outlining the fact that no matter what, he is staying loyal to Zuffa, and there's not going to be any branching off in the future. Yeah,
I'm not surprised. I'm sure there was conversations with the UFC brass and Conor McGregor. Sure, we've heard about rumblings that their relationship has been rocky, so to speak, but the UFC is in the business of making money off of mixed martial arts, and there are very few, if any, fighters on the planet right now are bigger than Conor McGregor. So you want to make sure that you maintain that relationship, because Conor's not even 30 years of age, so he's got years and years to make top money, and I think these are great goals. If he believes in his mind that he can not only become the 155-pound champion and go up to 170 pounds, it shows you his confidence, but is it arrogance?
Hey man, who knows? I was gonna say only he knows, but he doesn't even know. Conor McGregor, I'm a fan. I've been breaking down his fight, his upcoming fight for the last 3 weeks, and it's pretty interesting. This is fascinating stuff. He believes anything is possible with work and commitment and the right mentality, the right, spirit of play and exploration. All of that stuff he's brilliant at. And he believes it is possible to win this one, and it is possible to win the next one. But there's a point where it's not possible anymore. For Conor McGregor, that might be 70. But if it ain't 70, maybe it's 85. I mean, my point is you lose eventually if you go for bigger and bigger mountains. Eventually, you can't go. So where is that limit? He says there is no limit, but there's a limit. There is. Maybe it's 85. Maybe it's 205. Maybe he'll fight John Jones. Who knows?
Well, for now, he's at least part of the lightweight division, and Their former champion, Anthony Pettis, this was reported by Ariel Helwani on UFC Tonight. He will fight Edson Barboza next at UFC 197, April the 23rd. This is a big fight for Anthony Pettis because all of a sudden, especially after that loss to Eddie Alvarez, that many favored Pettis going into, Anthony Pettis is in a rebuilding mode at this point.
Both of these guys, Edson Barboza was doing very, very well against Tony Ferguson until he got Tony Ferguson. So he's in a rebuilding stage too, because right now 155 pounds is kind of wide open when you look at the fact that some of the same players have fought for the 155-pound championship, so they need fresh challenges. And I think that Anthony Pettis clearly wants to get back up to the top of the mountain. And if somehow Conor McGregor becomes the 155-pound champion, which a lot of people believe that he can do that, everything's fresh now.
Yeah, crazy times, man. I don't know what happens if one of these guys beats the other guy. I don't know where Conor McGregor will be. I don't know who's next for whatever, but I know this fight's crazy. I know this fight is insane. Edson Barboza can rip your legs out, and Pettis likes to get down on his legs, and he likes to put some weight on there when he strikes. Barboza's kicks are out of control. You know who else's kicks are out of control? Yeah. Anthony Pettis. Look at the impact. Look at the way that Edson Barboza turns his hips. This is a powerful thoroughbred, just like Anthony Pettis is. This is one of the great fights that you can make in the world right now. And who knows, man? Edson Barboza's hanging out with Frankie, training with Frankie and those guys. And somebody will definitely be going, you know, Edson.
You're using the terms crazy and insane to describe this fight. I think those words should be reserved for Friday night, as Kimbo Slice is going to take on Dada 5000. They had one of the most bizarre press conferences in recent memory on Wednesday in Houston, Texas. And here are some highlights from Houston.
Kimbo, a few words?
I'll just wait till I get asked the question.
Okay, Dada?
Listen, I thank each and every one of you guys.
You fool! Shut up, man.
Man, listen.
You ain't got shit to say.
Listen, bro, I got something.
You look like shit in your training yesterday. Nothing you can do can hurt me, bro.
Listen to this
These
right here.
These people ain't gonna be here to protect
put my
you
hands
Friday, Dada.
on you. You gonna understand what it feels like to be helpless for the first time in a long time in your life.
You understand me, bro?
At the end of the day, you ain't never meet nobody that's gonna hit you as hard as me.
You with Ferg, you called me out.
Listen,
you called out Kevin Ferguson,
bro. You are
bro.
a non-factor, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna show you.
I hear you.
I'm gonna bust your ass off.
I hear you,
Friday,
bro. And guess what? I'm planning on doing the same thing to you,
After I knock your ass out, keep my name out your mouth.
I hear you. Listen to dude.
Don't say
that sounds good, but at the end of the day, you're not capable physically or mentally of doing none of that shit that you talk about, bro.
Physically, I'm not, bro.
Man, listen, dude. I'm a manhandle you, dude.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
Okay.
I promise you that.
So let's
pull your pants down. Let me see size.
Man, listen, I'll show my nuts right now. Let me see your nuts.
Yeah. You
got baby nuts, Dada. You got baby nuts. I bet you my nuts bigger than yours.
I hear you.
Come on.
I hear you. You do what you feel do.
I bet you my nuts bigger than yours.
That was initiated by Kimbo. Do you have any opening remarks?
Yeah.
And that's what it escalated to. Listen, these two were hired for that reason.
Exactly.
And getting that clip played in as many places as possible. And the fact is, there are going to be a lot of people watching that fight because people love this. They absolutely love it. Ken Shamrock.
He was loving it.
He loved this. Hoyce, I think, wanted to be in another decade, which is probably where he should be fighting. But nonetheless, this fight has been designed and promoted as a car crash, and that's what you'll get if you tune in on Friday night.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's some fights on the undercard that will get people going, oh, wow, I didn't realize Melvin Gillard's on this card as well, Justin Wren's on this card as well. You have other Rufus Sport fighters on the card. So I think all of this leading up to both the Ken Shamrock Hoyce Gracie fight and this debacle that is Dada 5000 and Kimbo, I think it's awesome.
You think it's awesome?
I think it's awesome for different reasons.
Nice.
The reason why I say that, we all understand this is not going to be Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald 2. That's not what it's about.
It's not going to be Steve Lawler and Becky McDonald 2. Like, this Dada 300 guy literally can't fight.
I know. Yeah.
Like, is
like
it possible?
Punk, right?
Yeah, I mean,
this is their version.
Yeah, I guess, man. I don't know. This just, it bothers me. I understand that there is a fight, and that's a thing, and that in part of the entertaining build-up to a fight, there are these other things, like talking and doing stuff, shooting videos and stuff. Those things can be entertaining, but this guy can't fight. Like, if you see him on the pads, I mean, his haircut's interesting, he talks really loud, that stuff's cool, but ultimately, what if we just grab some ding-dong off the street who can do that, and then I put him in a cage. It's dangerous. Could he beat Kimbo? Maybe. Maybe Kimbo doesn't give a shit anymore. You know, I don't know. But this is not good for the sport of fighting. It can be entertaining. If you found that entertaining, that's cool. I got no judgment about that. But John did. Lots of people did. But the fight is going to be terrible. If you see the guy on the pads and you watch fighting even a little bit, you look and you go, that's not a trained athlete.
Right. That's why the supporting cast, I think, is there. When you tune in, it's like, all right, I'm going to tune into this nonsense.
Are you really focusing, though? Like, they've tried that in the past. I look at this main card, and yes, you have Emmanuel Newton, you have Melvin Gillard. I mean, Emmanuel Sanchez is going to be fighting, but I don't pinpoint Melvin Gillard as a guy that's going to be taking us into the future. No. I think that they had always stated that these kinds of fights, we're going to load them up with your Chandlers and your Will Brooks and expose them to that audience. And this isn't a case to me. I don't see that. I think you're also educating your audience that a big Bellator show, this is what it is. So when we come back in a few weeks and Joe Warren's fighting, they're not viewed as the stars because this is what you're being fed a diet of.
But then you're just selling talk and haircuts and bro and my nuts and all that stuff, not the combat. And combat, I know that we all look at it differently, but you can look at it as art. It's art. It's competitive art. That guy's hair is art. Maybe his nuts are art. I don't know. But if you look at him on the pads, he doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't belong there for anything other than this pre-fight stuff.
Final topic here, and this isn't really mixed martial arts related, but Manny Pacquiao, who made some awful comments in regards to homosexuality. Nike has taken a giant stance here by dropping Manny Pacquiao. I think the only decision you can make with something like this, and I applaud Nike. I also applaud Bob Arum, who has also condemned this. He has to promote this guy for a pay-per-view with Timothy Bradley, and he said, like, these are awful comments that he made. And I think there's very few times I think you get that kind of uniform response, especially from a promoter that does have a financial interest in this guy making money.
At the same time, he's still going to make money off of Manny Pacquiao. He has not severed ties with Manny Pacquiao to say, you know, I'm going to distance myself from any athlete that has these particular views. No, he's still going to make money. The thing is, you know, not that I agree with Manny Pacquiao, but the fact is you have to applaud the fact that he sticks to his values. And if you look at his beliefs, this is what he believes, and it's horrible. All of us are forward-thinking people, and this should not be the way that he thinks. But based on his upbringing,
I'm sorry, but I think this value system and the comparison he made to this, I'm not going to applaud you sticking to your values when it's...
That's just the person that he is. That's just the person that he is.
I agree with that. He can say that, and he can express that, and we can think he's a terrible human being.
Exactly.
And that's how it works. You go right ahead and definitely say that you think whoever are animals, but we think you're an ancient relic who doesn't belong in modern society, Manny.
RFA 35 is coming up on Friday night, and at this time we're going to take a closer look at that card.
The Resurrection Fighting Alliance is headed to Orem, Utah this Friday night, and the promotion touches down at the UCCU Center. And all the main card action can be seen live right here on Fight Network. In the night's main event, the vacant RFA lightweight title will be up for grabs when hometown favorite David Castillo meets American top team representative Thiago Moises. A well-traveled veteran of over 25 pro fights, Castillo may not be the most recognizable name in the game. However, with stellar wins over UFC veterans Clay Collard, John Gunderson, and George Lopez, to name a few, he's proven to always be dangerous, a difficult test for most fighters. His opponent Moises enters this contest on just a week's notice, replacing an injured Zach Yusola. At just 20 years of age, the BJJ brown belt has proven to be a crafty submission ace in his career, but with less than a week to prepare for a 5-round title fight, it will be a difficult task for the youngster to overcome. Also on the card, MMA Lab representative James Nakashima looks to keep his perfect record intact when he collides with Utah native and fellow unbeaten prospect Brad Darrington. And Brazilian transplant Thiago Alves looks to impress his new hometown fans when he meets once-beaten lightweight David Putvin in a 160-pound catchweight affair.
Coming up on Saturday, February the 27th, is Michael Bisping taking on Anderson Silva. Our coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with a preview show counting down to the card from London, England, and then the main card will be airing here in Canada on Fight Network.